representing Franchise Secrets, Erik Von Horn.
Hey listeners, if you're not in the Franchise Secrets Facebook group, what are you waiting for? It's franchisesecrets.com/Facebook. Now, this is a large community of franchisees, franchisors, buyers, sellers, anybody that's involved in franchising in any way. It's the community to go to. Ask your questions, get answers, help people out, and get help. It's franchisesecrets.com/Facebook. Welcome to the Franchise Secrets Podcast. Erik Van Horn here today with Graham Chapman with 919 Marketing. This is going to be a fun show. We're going to talk about things that we've never really talked about on Franchise Secrets around marketing for franchisors and franchisees, content marketing, organic search, how important analytics are. So Graham is one of the smartest guys that I know of this. He's got an incredible company, and I've been wanting to get him on for a while. So Graham, welcome.
Erik, thank you, man. It's wonderful being a guest of your show. And if I'm the smartest of anything, you probably don't know that many people in that industry, but I'll take the compliment.
I don't know a whole lot of people, so I'm glad you brought that up and I didn't have to. I know a handful, just a handful. But, you know, as I've been in the marketing world and the franchise world for quite a while, there's a big disconnect in franchisors and marketing. And I don't know what that big disconnect is, but I'm around some of the smartest and brightest people in marketing. And then I'm around some of the biggest and best franchisors. And I look at the marketing and their understanding of marketing, like content marketing, copy, video, things like that they really don't have a full understanding of because they're living in the days of yellow pages. So what's the big disconnect that you've seen in franchisors that may not have adapted well to the new way of marketing? It's not even that new.
Yeah, I mean, I think that old adage that, 50% of my marketing is working. I just don't know which half still plays in today's world. And there's, a lot of in franchising, Erik, with your experience working in this world for as long as you have, there's a lot of copycats out there. It's like, well, everyone's advertising an entrepreneur, I should do that too. Everyone's pursuing coverage with this publication, I should do that. They're all writing about, item 19 or how to review an FDD, I should do that too. As opposed to trying to use tools that are out there, which we certainly have one that we'll get to in a minute, but there are tools out there in today's world that can help you do a better job of figuring out what that half of your marketing is that is working. It can be things as simple as setting up goals and really using Google Analytics effectively, paying attention to where conversions are coming through on your website, and starting to just have a basic understanding of, okay, these are the questions that my candidates are asking through the due diligence process, or do a survey of your franchisees and even their employees to figure out what are some of the hot button things that customers are asking in person or however they're ordering products and services from you today. Like, doing basic things like that just to have some better understanding of where you should focus your time with your marketing and the questions that you need to answer with any PR push that you do, content you create, because that's really what it's about. For far too long, and in the old world, when there were only 3 TV channels and advertising had a lot more carry, you could be a lot more overly promotional with your advertising messages that you're sending out there. Today, customers are in control, prospects are in control. The brands who do a good job of answering their questions in an effective way, those are the ones who win.
Yeah, I've been working with some emerging brands, helping them with their franchise development process, and they are answering questions, but they're not answering them the way that is really helpful. They're just answering questions. And so there's ways to answer questions. There's ways to deliver information to whether it's your end user customer or franchisees that are prospective franchisees looking at your brand. But if you're not thinking beyond just giving them an answer, about giving them the right answer and scoring on that, you're probably doing it wrong. And there's a lot of franchisors doing it wrong out there.
Yeah.
Let's dive into content marketing. Actually, before we get to that, man, tell the audience about 919 Marketing, and then let's dive into content marketing.
Sure. 919 Marketing, we turned 25 this year. We started in 96 out here in the Research Triangle Park in Raleigh, North Carolina. I've been in franchising for more than 15 years. Started in franchising as a pure play PR firm. Obviously, a lot of great PR firms in franchising, and we certainly were and still are one of them, spending our almost first decade in the space, driving some meaningful national and local coverage to help drive brand awareness, spread the word about franchise opportunities, and help franchisees do more business. Over the past 5 to 6 years, we've really blossomed into franchising's only full-service content marketing agency of its kind. And I think if you ask the more than 70 franchisors with whom we work today why they love working with us, it's because we're the most strategic storytellers in franchising. We have 919 Insights, our data analytics platform, which helps us focus our time more effectively and make sure we're pursuing specific PR angles and writing content that's custom built to answer those questions we've talked about and reach candidates or customers on the platforms that they trust most. But we could have that access to the technology and data all we want. If we didn't have the rock star storytellers, former media journalists, career agency people, a lot of folks who've worked in and out, inside and outside of franchising for many years, who know how to speak the language. If you don't have those people to take the data and do something with it, then it's irrelevant. So I think any lasting message there would be, I think that our clients would tell you we're the most strategic storytellers in franchising, and we help them tell their brand stories to the world.
So what are some books that people can get to help them understand the importance of a brand story? Some resources or books that people can be like, oh, I didn't realize how important this really was. Because this is why I said in the beginning, like I love your company because you get story, you get video, you get copy, you get all of the things that a lot of people don't get. So someone, they're just starting to think about their brand story. Maybe they haven't told it. Maybe they haven't told it effectively. Where do they start to learn about what they should be thinking about around a brand story?
I would actually divert. I mean, there are books that are written by these people, but I think the best hub to explore, there's a place called the Content Marketing Institute. I've gone through the process of getting accredited as a content marketing expert, whatever the heck that means, by going through a series of courses and classes through that institute to really learn the practice of content marketing. But there are a ton of different books that are outlined on that website. It's a huge hub for anything and everything you want to learn content marketing wise. That's the easiest recommendation I can offer to give your podcast guests and listeners an endless amount of resources they could focus on if they want to know more about content marketing.
Great. I like that. And then a quick book recommendation would be Story Brand. That's probably, one of the most recognizable books out there, but check out that website and check out just some of the videos on Story Brand. Just listen to a TED Talk or some video. That's a really good little hack that people should do anyway. If you don't want to read a full book, just go check out some videos, because a lot of these authors, they give a lot of their best stuff on a podcast, on a video, and you don't have to read the whole book. So little hack there for everyone. Let's talk about content marketing. Like, let's get to the basics, man. Let's go back to the basics, Graham. What is content marketing at its core?
Sure. So I'll answer that question this way. So I'll actually go further back and make it more basic. Like you said, there are basically 4 buckets of marketing in today's world. It's called the Peso Approach. So there's all things paid. Then that's traditional advertising, that's digital advertising now, social media, anything that you're paying to play is in that paid marketing bucket. Then you have earned marketing, which is, the traditional PR practice, anything that you're doing to earn getting your brand or story told or your brand placed in articles and other things in print publications, online publications, on TV, on podcasts such as this. And then there is all things shared, social and shared marketing. So anything that is your organic work to promote your brand and try to generate traction and awareness across social media platforms. And then there is owned media, which is a big part of content marketing. Until you have the content to market, you don't have much to work with. So when we're talking about owned media, that's your videos, your webinars, your infographics, your websites, content, blog posts, white papers, franchise information reports, all this stuff that you build so that you have better stuff to share through email marketing on your social media channels. So you have a great infographic that you can pair up with a media pitch to give a reporter more of an incentive to share your story. That's important. So when it comes to content marketing, you need to really, what brands often don't do is focus enough time and resources in building a library of great informative educational content, like you mentioned, Erik. So when they start broadcasting messages to an audience, they're actually giving them something of value.
So where does a brand start? Let's say it's an emerging brand. They may have 0 franchisees. They may have 10 franchisees right now. Where do they start thinking about content marketing? Where should they spend time and money when it comes to content marketing? Then I also want to talk about franchisees too, where content marketing applies to them in their local business. So let's start with a franchisor with 0 to 10 locations. They want to start getting into content marketing.
You got it. It's 2 places. You need to find an effective data analytics platform to put to use for your brand. We have one at 919 Marketing. It's franchising's first and only of its kind. It's called 919 Insights. And that helps us build a content marketing and digital PR roadmap on behalf of our clients, something that you need to make sure you're basing all decisions, especially if you're a smaller brand like that. You can only focus on the fewer, bigger, better strategies to reach your end user. You don't have an endless budget to throw at a bunch of different things. If you want an understanding of, I need to do X, Y, Z, because I'm confident that these are the questions my end candidates are looking for, and this is where they're hunting for answers, that's how you figure it out. But if you're going to spend your money on one thing, beyond that, as an emerging brand trying to get it right, you have to get your website right. I mean, that is the ongoing digital billboard that shares everything on the FranDev side about the opportunity, on the consumer side about the services and products you give them, because all of these different customers or candidates that are going to consider investing in your franchise or working with you are going to do more than 70% of their homework online before they talk to you. So if your website does a poor job of giving them the information that they want, they're probably not going to convert.
So how important is video, founder story, that type of content on a website or quickly in a drip campaign to somebody that inquires into a brand?
I could give you a million statistics there too. I won't bore you with that, but anything visual or audible that you can share via any of your online channels is like 10x more pivotal in today's world once they've found you. Like once they've arrived on your website, they want to see stuff. They want to hear stuff and listen to it on the go, like podcasts like this. People are moving. They are ADD in today's world. They need that information quickly in a visual or audible track. Now, the written content matters for SEO purposes to get more people there, which we can talk about further. But I couldn't agree with you more. At all different stages of the lead nurturing process, anything visual or audio is imperative.
And that's for franchisees. Your customers need that. And then franchisors, prospective franchisees need that coming through. At the core, why do people buy a franchise? Like in the story, brand founders talking about their story, like at the core, is there reasons why you see people buying particular franchises versus others?
Well, that's a good, I didn't expect that question, but I'm ready for it. I'm here for it. Look, everyone, I don't care what it is, an investment in a franchise or, going to the store and making a knee-jerk purchase, people buy on emotional reasons. So they need to hear because there are a lot of different, there obviously are restrictions based on their, liquid cash available and their net worth and their experience. But once it comes down to they've identified a specific industry or type of business that works for them, be it home-based or retail, what have you, when it comes down to pulling the trigger and stroking the check, they're going to buy on that emotional piece, which is small, but huge. Because you got to check all the other boxes first. But what's that last 10% that gets you over the top? It's those CEO vision stories and videos. Like you mentioned, it's doing a heck of a job throughout that process of being quick to respond and providing the answers that they're looking for. It's, old-fashioned customer service. If you've done a great job of helping these candidates access what they need on their time and their preferred way, you're going to win at the end of the day.
Now, if you're listening out there and you're thinking, Graham, you're an idiot. It's not an emotional decision because I've done all kinds of research and that's why people are buying these brands. You might need to rethink that your thought process in that, because people do buy because of emotion. And if you don't have a process designed to educate them through that process and hit those emotional pieces that they need, then you're probably doing something wrong. And again, these brands that I'm consulting with, some of them are doing a good job of that, and some of them are not doing a very good job with that. And that's why brand stories are so important, because a lot of times people are buying because of the founders. They want to be a part of something that's bigger. And a lot of these are emotional reasons. They want to be a part of a team. They want to be a part of something that's bigger than them just doing it on their own. In addition to all the other reasons, the systems, the processes, the shortcuts, and whatnot. But I'm glad you hit on that. And I'm glad I kind of caught you with a question that you weren't quite expecting. So I'll try to do that more often today. I may not succeed. That's not really the point of it. It's just, where the things that come into my mind, I'm always thinking like, what's a buyer going to ask? What's a franchisee going to ask? And what does a franchisor need to know? So let's shift gears just a little bit within content marketing. Copy. Like I remember years ago, Graham, when I heard a podcast on Digital Marketer with Ryan Dice talking about copy. This, copy that. I'm like, what is that? And then, now I talk to franchisors and I say the word copy. They don't have a clue what I'm talking about. Sometimes even the marketing department doesn't have a clue when I say copy. And so give some of the basics of copy and why that is so important to a franchisor, whether they're looking for franchisees or they're wanting good copy on their website for their consumers.
Yeah. At any stage of your, franchise's lifespan, organic traffic or organic leads are going to be some of your best. These are people that have sought you out or have found you because you were there when they typed something into their search engine, or they thought of something and found your website or your brand as the right resource to help them in a big moment. That's where organic leads are coming from. They are finding your website literally on their terms. They've typed in a question, and then a blog that you wrote, a web page that you have, some other piece of content, maybe an article that you contributed to a large publication. Your brand and or your leadership team was there as the resource to help them in that moment. So your copy on your website, on ongoing blog posts that you develop, and email marketing campaigns you craft, for any contributed articles or thought leadership that your visionary leader does, has to be focused on addressing those questions candidates have. And as I mentioned before, we do, and it's not the only tool out there in existence, but obviously I'm biased, but our 919 Insights platform does exactly that. It helps uncover, based on where your brand is today compared to your top 3 competitors, what gaps and opportunities exist out there, and what we need to do collectively to overhaul the content on your website and come up with a game plan for blog posts moving forward to help you gain that pivotal ground and that competitive advantage to rank for the terms that have a high enough search volume that you have good understanding that your candidates are actually searching for them each month, but have a difficulty ranking that based on your brand's reputation online. You can actually start grabbing that critical first page, top 3, number 1 spot snippet, which is, for your listeners, the thing that comes above the fold, above paid ads for that keyword itself. That is the number 1 real estate you can have for any search term. What content marketing plan and copywriting plan do you need in place to start winning in organic search with those big words?
So with analytics, that like you have the 919 Insights, and other companies will have some type of analytics. Some of them are going to be not very good. They're going to say it's good and it's not going to be very good. And some people have very robust analytics like you that are really important. And so I think this is where some franchisors are missing it. They are not putting enough weight into getting the right analytics to be able to have the right subjects or words or areas that they want to talk about on their website, and they're just doing it randomly based on what they think, and it may or may not be the right thing. So if you're chasing down the wrong rabbit hole, you're not going to have the success, no matter how great it is or how it looks visually. So when it comes to copy on a website or copywriting or just the words on your website, it's really important. It's important for SEO, and it's important for the reason why you have it on the website. Sometimes it's going to be educational copy. Sometimes it's going to be persuasive copy. There's a lot of different copy that you need, whether it's on your emails, whether it's on a landing page, whether it's on getting somebody to do something on your website. As I think about it initially, you want somebody that wants to buy a franchise that lands on your website to actually click more information or I'm interested in becoming a franchisee. You need to have the right headline there or the right thing that they get if they give you give you their email address or phone number, the thing that they will actually give you their information and expecting you to reach out to them. It might be a PDF of something. It might mean it's just a phone call, but there's all kinds of different things that you want them to understand so they can take action where you want them to take action. And a lot of that's just headlines. I mean, you need the right headline. You need so many of the right things. So where are you seeing franchisors getting it wrong on their website with hooks, headlines, and copy?
A lot of ways. I'll start with just a few things that come top of mind. I mean, to your point about forums, I mean, there are some basic web development and sort of user experience stuff that needs to be done in tandem with this, I guess, longer term sort of content overhaul. Like make your navigation sticky, for example. So if someone's scrolling down a page, they shouldn't lose the ability to navigate somewhere else. Your job is to make it easy for people to access more content on the website. So sticky means that navigation bar follows people as they go down the page. Make sure your forms are easy to find and have a specific call to action. Like you said, they want them to, give me a call or learn more. Like make that copy specific on the button that you want them to click. And more importantly, make that button stand out. It can't blend in with the rest of the color on the website. Make that form easy to see in a different color so it stands out. So people actually, their attention moves to it. And then back to the original part about that Peso marketing, that getting that owned media right. If you want more people to click and you want more people to fill out the form, give them something that's worth filling out a form for. Make it a pretty damn robust franchise information report. Give them a pretty impressive video or a video series that they get access to with that. Some other better candy for them to actually get if they give you their information, because people are hesitant to do that in today's world.
They're really hesitant. I think that's a great point. So as you are thinking about your website, franchisors, you need to give them something that they want. There always has to be a carrot for the next thing. First, it starts on the website. They need a carrot. So I like that very robust thing that you give them. It might be an industry report combined with where they rate in the industry or something that they would find helpful and useful and you may not want to give or take the time to put together. And so the harder that it is to put together, the more information that you're giving them, that's probably what they want. And then
think in the minds of these candidates exploring your brand. I mean, just for example, I'll give two. So one would be like how you're addressing the labor shortage. For any variety of different franchisors now, that's a pivotal problem and something that your candidates are going to determine their outcome, whether or not you're doing a good job of addressing that problem. If you're offering great incentive programs, or maybe you're for like saying if an employee stays with you for a certain amount of time, you'll pay a month of their mortgage or send them back to school for a certain certification. Create some one pager or like 5 or 6 page brochure that quickly describes and effectively describes the great way you're helping your current franchisees address that issue and overcome it. Maybe you can throw in some things about how you were proactive during the pandemic to keep your franchisees profitable. That's the stuff you should offer because that's what they're definitely interested in. And that's why you can stand out against the competition.
So you got to hook them in with that, give them something that's helpful and useful to the candidate, to the person clicking through, filling out the form. And then when you're on that first call, just real quick, you always got to be thinking, how do I get them on a second call? You always have to give them something to get on that second call or get on the first call. So just think about that. Through the whole stage of the franchise buying development process, you always need to be thinking, you're not selling the franchise, you're selling the next step. And then you are always giving them something of value, but they're always doing something in the process as well. And when I coach people on it, this is the difference between working with tire kickers and working with buyers. Buyers continue to go throughout that process because they want what's next and they're willing to do some homework to get what's next. Tire kickers won't watch the thing that they're supposed to watch, won't fill out the stuff that they're supposed to fill out, but they'll tell you all day long that they're really a buyer. I'm really going to buy. I really want this. I'm going to do this, but they never do anything. So I like to set up franchise development processes to focus on the rewarding the buyer and and kicking out the tire kicker, because if you let the tire kicker become a franchisee, the one that didn't listen, the one that didn't follow the process and didn't follow the system, they're going to become your worst nightmare. So it's not just finding the right buyer, and the right buyers move along a really good process, a really nice way, and they select themselves.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, content marketing plays a pivotal role there also. It does a good job of educating people who are qualified, who are the right fit, who are great for your culture at your company. And it should disqualify people who are not. It should be very clear about, you must meet these financial qualifications. You must have this in your DNA. You must be willing to do this. You must be willing to sell. You must be able to manage your restaurant yourselves. You can't hire a manager. This is not a passive investment, or it is a passive investment. Be very clear about exactly what that is. And you have to spend that time to identify who those personas are on the front end, again, as you go through this process, because it can't just be about the data that we get through an analytics program. It has to be learning from, I guess, the eyeball test or the scouts mentality. You've been having those conversations with candidates for many years. You have a good understanding of what they're looking for and who out of your current franchisees really represent those you want to attract. So spend the time to build out those personas or avatars, pair that out with great data, and make sure your website does a great job of throwing that needle between, I have to write about this content to get more people here, but I also have to include information like this to weed out people who are a bad fit.
100%. If you're interested in how to build out an avatar, go to Franchise Secrets, and I'll have a link on there where you can get a free form on how to build out an avatar as a franchisor. Because if you don't understand who is buying, and it's not going to be perfect, there's not one person that's going to buy everything it's not going to be, well, Marcos did it over at Amada Senior Care, dialed into pharmaceutical sales reps and medical device reps. So he's done it better than anybody, really honed in on that. But, I've helped people create different avatars. Maybe it's a father-son. Maybe it is they come from a construction background or veteran background or whatever it is. I'm helping people start to understand who really is that ideal franchisee or avatar or persona. But also what helps you do that is knowing your unique selling propositions, like what's unique about your brand, what's unique about your industry. So what are some of those that you've seen with different brands, whether it's a unique selling proposition or something unique about their industry or unique about the brand?
There's any variety of different directions I can go on this one.
Pick your favorite one.
Well, I got to shout out my friends at American Family Care. So first of all, they were somewhat fortunate, but also forward thinking in that their model was fixing a problem or a void in our society before others had come to the party, so to speak. So there was definitely a need for an alternative to running to the emergency room because you have an immediate problem, or scheduling an appointment with your primary care physician a week away because he's already booked up the rest of this week. So they identified that need, and they've done a heck of a job on the consumer and the fran dev side of describing that sort of positioning, that it's the right care on your time. And then building off based on both their consumer and their fran dev personas, how to communicate that message, the right care, your budget, the right care in your neighborhood, focusing everything around just that simple phrase, the right care, because that's exactly what it is. You don't need to go, like your head's on fire to the emergency room and pay an exorbitant cost and wait forever there. And you may need service or you may need help for your problem before your primary care physician can see you. So they offer the right care, and they offer that right care to how they treat their franchise system on the franchise side as well. They offer the right care, and so that sort of double entendre of the right medical care, but the right personal care and thoughtfulness to their franchise system as well. So I think they've really nailed it there. And they've done a good job of working with us to identify that right persona base, because it's not doctors and physicians that they're trying to bring in as franchisees. That's oil and gas professionals and executives who are leaving that space. And it's other great people who've owned other franchise systems who know how to operate this type of business model, because it's not a sort of hands-on owner-operator deal every day. So I would say that is one of the best examples I'd come up with on the spot.
Dude, I love that. And I love oil and gas. Who would have thought oil and gas? You think certain, and it's probably not just any franchise owner. There's certain franchise owners that are going to be good for that particular brand. But I love oil and gas because that's not something that you would think about. Now, just out of curiosity, was there somebody that owned oil, that was in oil and gas, and they were a franchisee when you got a hold of them and you're like, guys, this is a really good one? Or was that something that was kind of out of the blue where you're like, this would be a really interesting avatar?
It was, no, they had somebody there, but like it wasn't like they had a strategy to go find that group of people prior to having a success story within their system. I do have to give a shout out to Rebecca Monet and the Zoracle team, who've done a heck of a job helping AFC really define what the personality traits and characteristics are of successful owners. And that just matched beautifully with the first couple people who came from that oil and gas space. It's like, not only do we have two all-stars who have this one common thread of coming from the oil and gas industry, they also possess these character traits that this preferred partner we're working with has identified as something that's a good match for our model.
And so when you find, so you can do an avatar based off of current franchisees, and maybe they're the most successful franchisees. Maybe they're not. Maybe they should be, and they're just not. But they are oil and gas, or they are pharmaceutical already. They're in your base, and you're like, I can create an avatar for future franchisees based off of them. Or maybe it's somebody that's in the franchise system, one of the founders, their background. Maybe it was a real estate background. Maybe they were part of another franchise system, or maybe they are part of another industry, and all of a sudden that is your avatar. So there's a lot of different ways to go. One of the things that I love about kind of creating that avatar and then marketing for that avatar is now there's immediate validation. There's a connection point. So oil and gas candidate comes in, boom, you can send them right over to their franchisees, your franchisees who are also oil and gas. So there's that immediate connection and rapport that is built. And so it's a really good way to start to gain some immediate attraction as you are starting to grow a brand. So anything else around avatars before we get into analytics?
Let's go to the analytics, man.
All right, I know. So let me set it up this way. Sometimes I really like analytics, and I've seen analytics kind of overused or abused. People are like, they claim they have all these different things, but I'm like, all you're talking about is Google Analytics. This isn't something super special that you have. This is Google Analytics or Facebook Analytics, which is, there's a lot of really cool stuff that you can do with that, but you can also go a lot deeper than that. So give us insight into your world on what you've done with 919 Insights and analytics in general.
Sure. I'll start with sort of analytics 101, which I'm still surprised each day with people that I talk to who are not aware of what domain authority is and what it means, what search term ranking difficulty is, and things like that. And that's really where it begins. So we do have a patented process where it goes. So yes, we absolutely do use the Google Analytics from our client's website, but we have the ability to get similar information and data points from competitive set websites who we certainly don't have access to their Google Analytics. So it's not just learning from what's working for you, it's from what's working for those top three competitors as well. And then using that information to explore on a more global level what people are searching for, how hard it is to rank for those terms, and where we should focus our time. So the first thing is sort of figuring out the scoreboard of today. Where does my website rank or score as far as its Google and other search engines ranking of my ability to do a good job of addressing the search queries that go through that search engine tool? What does Google think of my site? Basically, that's what domain authority is. That is Google saying you are at this level as far as giving good responses to the things that people are searching for about your industry. And then what do I do from there? How do we start gaining momentum and doing a better job of answering relevant questions that people who are searching for your franchise opportunity or things customers are searching for about your industry? How do we help elevate your website to gain that ground? Because the higher your domain authority is and the longer amount of time you've done in doing a good job of creating fresh content that answers more questions, the better Google's going to rank you across all different wide variety of terms.
So if somebody, they just don't think it's in their budget to hire 919 or some type of service like that, and they're just kind of bootstrapping it right now, what kind of tips would you give that emerging brand that's like, I wish I could hire you, but they don't have any franchisees yet, and they're wanting to get to the point where they're ready to work with 919 or a similar company. What advice would you give them to start learning about this stuff and maybe start improving some of the copy or things on their own website?
Sure. There's a free service out there through a website called Moz, where you can get a good understanding of what your domain authority is. They have a bulk domain authority website checker that can give you an understanding of what your website is compared to 9 others. So you can look at 10 URLs at once. That can give you that basic scorecard. I would also recommend, maybe you have a consumer site now and you haven't built a franchise development website yet. If you embark on that path, both of those, the other piece of advice, I guess, just top of mind, both those websites should exist on the same domain. So when you set up a franchise site, it should be, I'll just use so franchise.919marketing.com, which is a subdomain, or it can be set up as a subdirectory, which would be 919marketing.com/franchise. The reason for that is you've done all this great work building your customer facing site. And I promise you, like 99 times out of 100, that consumer site's going to have a better domain authority than your existing franchise development site. When you bring them together, that FranDev site's going to automatically obtain the same domain authority or same score as your consumer site. And as you continue creating content for both websites, they're going to help each other grow together. So those would be the 2 things I would say. Take advantage of Google Analytics, set up conversion goals and learn how to use that tool. You can figure that out on your own. Use Moz to figure out what the landscape is now and where your domain authority currently is, so you at least know what the score is now compared to your competitive set. And then make sure, if you have a consumer and a franchise development website, that they both exist on the same domain. 99% sure it should be in your consumer domain.
So just to repeat that, because I think this is really important for young franchisors. So this is a question that they may or may not have thought about. They probably should have thought about. But you have your consumer-facing site, which is, we'll just call it franchisesecrets.com. You should have franchisesecrets.com/franchise. That should be your franchise development website that is focused on educating prospective franchisees. And then you should also have a website called franchisesecretsfranchise.com that forwards to franchisesecrets.com/franchise. Is that right?
Absolutely. You can buy as many domains around what people are searching for your franchise as you want, but they should all redirect to either a subdomain or a subdirectory built off the consumer domain. I mean, one of the biggest reasons people are hesitant about it's like, shouldn't I have 2 different properties, one built for my consumers and one built for my franchise prospects? Yes, you're still doing that. Every one of those sub pages that are built off of that franchise secrets /franchise domain is built for the end user, being your franchise candidate in mind. And everything that's built on the consumer site is still built for search terms around the consumer side. Just because they live on the same domain does not mean they can still look and feel different too. So they can serve that purpose of reaching 2 separate audiences if all the pages are built on one domain.
That's a really good point. And so buy up some of those with your name, franchise.com, because if you don't, somebody else might, and then it's just a pain when that happens, and all you do is forward. It's really, really simple. Graham, would you come on? I got some franchisors that I'm coaching up. I'm doing some training for them. I'd love you to train on brand story, franchise development, and consumer websites for these emerging brands. So can I twist your arm to come on and do that?
Anytime, brother.
Man, this has been really good, very tactical, practical advice, and I appreciate it. Any last bits of wisdom, and then please let people know how to reach you.
Just thank you again for having me. It is Whiskey Wednesday, and we did restock back there, so it's going to be a fun evening here. Excited to see everybody at IFE, at FLDC, and other events coming up. We're going to do some more of those Whiskey Wednesday bar takeovers. Come join us. Graham Chapman, 919 Marketing, our website, 919marketing.com. You can email me at gchapman@919marketing.com. Find me on LinkedIn, connect with me there. Happy to help anybody throughout the franchising community. I owe my career and my success to so many people in franchising, and always here to help.
Awesome, man. I appreciate you, brother.
Back at you, homie.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Franchise Secrets Podcast. Whether you're watching or listening, please make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel and to whatever channel you're listening on. If you want my help with anything from buying a franchise to franchising your business, please visit franchisesecrets.com.